Hello everyone, how are you doing? This is Jerome Parker talking to you with Tech Talk. Today has been interesting. First of all, I am sorry for starting the stream late. I had to deal with some client work. We started late, but I am here now. So before we get started, I'm just going to go ahead and give out my shout out to myself. I have ordered some more Code Life shirts. If you haven't gotten any of our t-shirts, you can go to jeromeparker.com/shop and pick you up one of those shirts. We have them in all sizes. Currently, we only have the crew necks. We'll get more V-necks in after the holiday. Also, while you're there, I'm doing some affiliate sales, selling some books that I personally read or have read. One of them is Martin Fowler's Refactoring book. Any aspiring software engineer needs to read that book. I also have the book Algorithms to Live By. It's a very good book that was co-authored by a computer scientist and a neuropsychologist, and explaining how to use computer science to make everyday life decisions. And then last but not least, we have the Koji, a programmable robot fit for kids who are interested in coding. They learn how to code by using emojis. It comes equipped with Bluetooth, and you use the phone app to send coded commands using emojis, and you can make this thing walk, turn, say different stuff. It's pretty cool. I got my son one, or my mother got him one anyway. Shout out to my mom. Love you. Today also, we are going to be taking phone calls. So the phone line is 502-791-6409. Once again, that is 502-791-6409. And once again, if you haven't already, please like, subscribe, share with your friends. And if you haven't gone to my website, that is jeromeparker.com. Now, today we are going to be talking about three things. We're going to be talking about the FCC's decision to vote on repeal of the net neutrality laws. We're going to be discussing Uber's hacks that were revealed today, and we're also going to discuss Bitcoin's latest height above $8,200. So that being said, let us get right into the nitty and gritty. If you are in the chat room, please let me know. Let me know where you're from. Say hi. So, the FCC plans a new net neutrality repeal in a victory for telecoms. This is from the New York Times. For those who are not aware what net neutrality is, oh guys, turn this off.
The goal is to ensure
hush. All right. Net neutrality is a principle that basically says all data on the internet has to be treated the same. It is what enables people like me to compete with people like Facebook, or as what allows the little guy to be able to get their startups out into the world to allow people to explore their new products. So basically, it is the democracy of the internet that we are talking about. And without net neutrality, people like independent journalists and bloggers wouldn't be recognized. Because what would happen is you would have the cable providers such as AT&T, Comcast, Spectrum, and what they're going to do is they're going to differentiate data without net neutrality. What that means is, since AT&T competes with Comcast, if you're trying to load a website that is being loaded with a different internet provider, they're going to purposely throttle that speed down, or they can in theory, so that if you want to get truly unlimited internet, you have to pay a premium tiered package, so that all the data that comes in, basically to get what you get now, you're going to have to pay premium for it. Because otherwise, without net neutrality, internet companies can decide what data they want to give preference to in terms of delivery speeds. What this also means is that if you're a corporation like Google or Amazon or Facebook, and you already have a network that spans the globe, You can have control. Anyone want to think about Google Fiber, for example? Google Fiber is excellent. I love Google Fiber. But with that net neutrality, Google Fiber can very quickly become a scary thing. Now, I don't necessarily believe Google would do something nefarious, since it is in their charter, do no evil, but we shall see. So let me read this article, or a snippet anyway, from the New York Times. FCC plans net neutrality repeal in a victory for telecoms. The Federal Communications Commission released a plan on Tuesday to dismantle landmark regulations that ensure equal access to the internet, clearing the way for internet service providers to charge users more to see certain content and curb access to certain websites. The proposal, made by FCC Chairman Ajit Pai, is a sweeping repeal of rules put in place by the Obama administration. The rules prohibit high-speed internet providers, or ISPs, from stopping or slowing down the delivery of websites. They also prevent the companies from charging customers extra fees for high-quality streaming and other services. So let me stop there. Let's just take one of the frightful five. Netflix. Netflix at any given one point in time takes up 30 to 40% of the internet. So what's going to happen when companies start charging internet providers? What's going to happen when these companies start charging you a Netflix tier? Because in order to Netflix is taking so much of our network that we decided that if you want to watch unlimited, have an unlimited streaming package, you need to pay us an extra $100 a month for maintenance fees. We have to secure the network or have enough. We have to ensure low latency and high throughput. But they're using the same service they were using before. This is nothing more than allowing rich companies to get even richer. It's going to be the same exact internet that you had, but you're going to be paying a lot more for it. A lot more for it. So let's continue. The announcement set off a fight over free speech and the control of the internet, pitting telecom titans like AT&T and Verizon against internet giants like Google and Amazon. The internet companies warned that rolling back the rules can make the telecom companies powerful gatekeepers to information and entertainment. The telecom companies say that the existing rules prevent them from offering customers a wider selection of services at higher and lower price points. So, because of our Constitution and whatnot, we can't really have the government censor our media. You know, we have free speech. But if without net neutrality, we are relying on corporations to be the gatekeepers of information and entertainment. That means if they just don't like what you put on your blog or put on your website, they'll just throttle your speeds or make it so incredibly slow to load that nobody's going to go to your content. If they don't like if the CEO of the corporation does not like your political view, they can just throttle you. You're giving the power of protecting free speech, and you're taking it outside of the hands of the people, and you're taking it outside of the hands of the government, and you're putting it into the power of corporations. The phone lines are open, by the way. 502-791-6409. I'm really interested to hear what you guys think about any of this. If you have any questions, first caller calls in will be the first caller who has ever called in. So I'm excited. Let's go on. Under my proposal, the federal government will stop micromanaging the internet, Mr. Pai said in a statement. Instead, the FCC would simply require internet service providers to be transparent about their practices so that consumers can buy the service plan that best for them. Now that's a bunch of malarkey. Basically what he's saying is, me and my buddies on Wall Street and me and my buddies in the telecommunication companies, we don't like having to be egalitarian with our price point. So if you want unlimited access to your God-given right of free speech and access to information, you're going to have to pay us. And if you don't want to pay us, well, we'll offer you something else. And we're going to give you a choice in what you can choose. But we're not really giving you a choice. Because the service plan that you're going to need to really do anything in life in this high-speed world is going to be jacked up. So, there's that. If you guys, I'm going to be dropping some knowledge tonight. So I'm going to need you guys to share. I'm going to need you guys to click like and, bring your friends. Because this is important. This is literally going to affect every person in America if they vote on this and they repeal. It's going to affect every person. Let me continue on with this article. Mr. Pai, a Republican who has pursued an aggressive deregulation agenda, has widely expected to have his plan approved during a meeting on December 14th. The two other Republicans on the commission generally vote with Mr. Pai, giving them majority over the two Democrats. Telecom and internet companies are expected to lobby hard in Washington and directly to the public as they did when the current rules were adopted. Some internet companies are expected to put up a fight to prevent the proposal from taking hold. The Internet Association, an industry group, joined a legal effort in 2015 to protect the existing rules. The agency already received 20 million public comments, many of them in opposition of changing the rules, since Mr. Pai announced the broad outlines of his thinking earlier this year. The big companies that provide internet access to phones and computers have fought for years against broadband regulations. Under the new plan, broadband providers will be able to block access, slow down, or speed up services for its business partners, and in some cases, as long as they notify customers. As long as they let you know ahead of time, and we don't even know what that time frame is, as long as they notify you, they can block your access. They can slow it down or they can speed it up. And they're only going to speed it up if you pay them. But like I said, as long as they notify you, and because we're talking deregulation, we're taking the power out of the hands of the people, we're taking it out of the hands of the government, we're putting it in the hands of corporations and in the hands of stakeholders. As long as they notify you, they can just block your access. I don't like your content, Mr. Parker. So in 7 days, we're going to cut your internet off for a week. And then we'll restore it at half speed. And then we'll eventually restore it in 30 days. And hopefully we can come to some sort of amicable agreement and this will not happen again. Or you can pay us an unlimited VIP package tier and you'll never hear from us again. It'll only be $300 a month. You can call me crazy if you want to, but I'm telling you it's going to happen. I am telling you, mark my words. So let's go back. This action will return broadband in the U.S. to a regulatory regime that emphasizes private investment and innovation over lumbering government intervention, says John Marsh, a vice president at AT&T. Goodness gracious. Big online companies like Google and Facebook say that the repeal proposal would allow telecom companies to play favorites by charging companies for accessing some sites or by slowing speeds to others. The existing rules were written to prevent such arrangements, adopting a policy often called net neutrality. We are disappointed that the proposal announced today by the FCC fails to maintain the strong net neutrality protections that will ensure the internet remains open for everyone, Aaron Egan, a vice president at Facebook, said in a statement. We will work with all stakeholders committed to this principle. Small online companies believe the proposal would hurt innovation, because telecom companies would force them to pay more for their faster connections. Only the largest companies, they say, would be able to afford the expense of making sure their sites receive preferred treatment. Companies like Etsy and Pinterest, for example, credit their start to the promise of free and open access of the internet. So for those, we're so, as a society, we take the internet for granted because it's been open and free for a long time. When I free, I don't mean free to access. I mean it's free to build upon the internet. It's free to create a website. If you have the equipment, you can host your own stuff. But you know, okay, let me put it this way. The vast majority of app developers are using some sort of online backend to power their apps, whether it's Stripe or they're using Google or Facebook API or something. They're using some third-party internet service. So when you're developing, you have to have internet. So if they're going to put you down to freaking AOL plug the modem into your phone days, you won't even be able to develop. You won't even be able to create applications without paying these people an arm and a leg. Okay, it irks me because we shouldn't be in this position. Our populace, everybody should know about net neutrality. Everybody should know how important this is. This person should have never even gotten to the position that he's at. This is actually a very scary time. All right. And consumers, the online companies say, may see their costs go up if, for example, they want high quality access to popular websites like Netflix, a company that depends on fast connections for its streaming videos. Netflix said on Tuesday that it opposed Mr. Pai's proposal. The action represents the end of net neutrality as we know it and defies the will of millions of Americans, said Michael Beckerman, chief executive of the Internet Association, a lobbying group that represents Google, Facebook, Amazon, and other tech companies. Mr. Pai said that the current rules had been adopted to stop only theoretical harm. He said that the rules limit consumer choice because telecom companies cannot offer different tiers of service. For example, as a result, he said, internet service companies cannot experiment with new business models that could help them compete with online businesses like Netflix, Google, and Facebook. That's a bunch of crap. The internet service companies have no incentive to even get into the same sphere as Netflix, Google, and Facebook. Their only dedicated purpose is to give you internet. Bundle it in with some phone and some TV. Throw in a tablet. They are not trying to create social networks. They're not trying to stream content. They're not trying to do mass index search and targeted advertising like Facebook, Netflix, and Google. They are just trying to deliver internet at the lowest cost to maximize the most revenue. All right. And people actually like buy into this. This is the part that really irks me, because I read online and I could tell clearly you know nothing about computers. You know nothing about how the internet works or how it's made and why it has achieved what it's achieved because of net neutrality. It's depressed investment in building and expanding broadband networks and deterred innovation, Mr. Pai said Tuesday. Comcast, one of the country's biggest broadband companies, said that it would not slow websites that contain legally permitted material. We do not and will not block, throttle, or discriminate against lawful content, and we will be transparent with our customers about these policies, the company said. In a call with reporters, FCC officials said the blocking and slowing of some content could be seen as anti-competitive. Those practices, they said, would be policed by the Federal Trade Commission or the Justice Department. The plan to repeal the existing rules passed in 2015 would reverse a hallmark decision by the agency to consider broadband a public utility, as essential as phones and electricity. I didn't read that part. That's interesting. The earlier decision created the legal foundation for the current rules and underscored the importance of high-speed internet service. It was put in place by Tom Wheeler, an SEC chairman under President Obama. So that's interesting. So maybe there is some low-hanging fruit here. So part of the repeal will reverse a decision by the agency to consider broadband a public utility. So there was a consideration to make internet basically a monopolized utility, like how they do electricity, water, and whatnot. Basically, at this point in our society, everybody needs internet, which is true. Call me liberal or whatnot, but broadband internet is an essential human right in 21st century civilized society. The ability to instantaneously connect, to research. If you don't have internet, you're like living in a cave. I mean, without the internet's what's allowing me to talk to all you guys right now. Before that, I'd have to literally travel from town to town, talking, hoping that you guys would see me as I pass out papers in the town square. So anyway, they're throwing that out the window. So they're basically just trying to make everything capitalistic. Every single thing. And not realizing that that's going to ultimately just hurt. That's going to hurt the economy. Oh, it's going to hurt the economy. Mr. Pai, who was appointed chairman by President Trump in January, has eliminated numerous regulations during his first year. The agency has stripped down rules governing television broadcasters, newspapers, and telecom companies that were meant to protect the public interest. On Tuesday, in addition to the net neutrality rollback, Mr. Pai announced a plan to eliminate a rule limiting any corporation from controlling broadcasts that have reached more than 39% of American homes. The fight over net neutrality could end up being one of his biggest and most fraught decisions. For more than a decade, the agency has struggled with how to regulate internet service, leading to extended legal battles. The rules adopted under Mr. Wheeler were upheld in 2016 by a federal appeals court in Washington, D.C. The proposal, released on Tuesday, will probably make its way to court as well. And companies like Facebook and Google are expected to push the public to speak out against the plan. They coordinated a huge online protest against the possible changes in July. some of the lobbying could take place in Congress, even though it may change little because Republicans control both houses. Nevertheless, Democrats have vowed to try to reconstruct the strict rules adopted by the FCC in 2015. The next 3 weeks promise to hold intense lobbying from both sides, but that might not be the end of it. The regulation of internet providers have already swung once on a change in the Oval Office. As good as the FCC's action is for ISPs, it only ensures non-regulation of broadband through 2020, said Paul Gallant, an analyst at the research firm Cowen. So that's the article by the New York Times. I'm going to go ahead and just share this on my Twitter. There we go. So that's what's going on with net neutrality. You guys that are in the chat room, talk to me. What do you guys think about that? Does it concern you? Could you care less? I really want to get a gauge because I have a rose-colored view or whatnot because I'm a web programmer. This directly, it directly affects everyone, but it affects me in ways that it won't affect most people who aren't programmers. Anyway, like I said, we got the phone lines open. 502-791-6409. I'm accepting all calls. The next thing that we are going to talk about, or rather I'm going to talk about, are the Uber hacks. All right. Let us go to the Associated Press. Uber just keeps effing up over and over and over. It should just be called Oopser. Uber reveals covering up a hack affecting 57 million riders and drivers. This is coming out of San Francisco. Uber is coming clean about a cover-up of a year-old hacking attack that stole personal information about more than 57 million of the beleaguered ride-hailing services, customers, and drivers. So far, there's no evidence that the data taken has been misused, according to a Tuesday blog post by Uber's recently hired CEO, Dara Khosrowshahi. I probably butchered that. Part of the reason nothing malicious has happened is because Uber acknowledges paying the hackers $100,000 to destroy the stolen information. Yes, you heard that right. They got hacked, and instead of coming clean immediately, they paid the hackers 100 bands to destroy said data. Gosh. Listen, if a hacker ever steals some data from you and then demands a ransom, you need to know, not assume, you need to know off the bat that that data is copied at least 3 times, distributed, probably not on the same continent. Just take my word for it. If someone hacks you and they demand a ransom, you need to go ahead and cut your L's, because you're going to pay them and then it's going to come out, or it's going to be used, or it's going to be sold to the highest bidder. That person probably sold that data for $500,000 and then got 100 bands from Uber after the fact. Anyway, I'm going to keep reading. This is from the Associated Press. The revelation marks the latest stain on Uber's reputation. The San Francisco company ousted Travis Kalanick as CEO in June after an internal investigation concluded he had built a culture that allowed female workers to be sexually harassed and encouraged employees to push legal limits. It's also the latest major breach involving a prominent company that didn't notify the people that could be potentially harmed for months or even years after the break-in occurred. Yahoo didn't make its first disclosure about hacks that hit 3 billion user accounts during 2013 and 2014 until after September 2016. Credit reporting service Equifax waited several months before revealing this past September that hackers had carted off the social security numbers of 145 million Americans. Koros Hahi criticized Uber's handling of the data theft in his blog post. While I can't erase the past, I can commit on behalf of every Uber employee that we will learn from our mistakes, he wrote. We are changing the way we do business, putting integrity at the core of every decision we make, and working hard to earn the trust of our customers. The pledge shouldn't excuse Uber's previous regime for its egregious behavior, said Sam Curry, chief security officer for the computer security firm Cybereason. It's truly scary thing we have here that Uber paid a bribe, essentially a ransom, to make this breach go away, and they acted as if they were above the law, Curry said. Those people responsible for the integrity and confidentiality of the data, in fact, covered it up. The heist took the names, email addresses, and mobile phone numbers of 57 million riders around the world. The thieves also nabbed the driver's license numbers of 600,000 Uber drivers in the U.S. And they thought $100,000 was just going to keep them quiet? Please. Please. Oh my gosh. These people got paid. It's all over the dark web. Uber waited until Tuesday to begin notifying the drivers that compromised driver's licenses, which can be particularly useful for perpetrating identity theft. For that reason, Uber will now pay for free credit reporting, monitoring, and identity theft protection services for the affected drivers. Okay. After the fact. Kalanick, who still sits on Uber's board of directors, declined to comment on the data breach that took place in October 2016. It's been over a year. Uber says the response to the hack was handled by its chief security officer, Joe Sullivan, a former federal prosecutor whom Kalanick lured away from Facebook in 2015. As part of his efforts to set things right, Koroskahi extracted Sullivan's resignation from Uber and also jettisoned Craig Clark, a lawyer who reported to Sullivan. Clark didn't immediately respond to a question for comments sent through his LinkedIn profile. Efforts to reach Sullivan were unsuccessful. Uber's silence about its breach came while it was negotiating with the Federal Trade Commission about its handling of riders' information. Good God. Earlier in 2016, the company reached a settlement with the New York Attorney General requiring that it take steps to be more vigilant about protecting the information that its app stores about its riders. As part of the settlement, Uber also paid a $20,000 fine for waiting to notify 5 months about another data breach that it discovered in 2014. So Uber is getting hacked left and right. Left and right. Do you guys hear me? I don't think you understand. Uber went international quick. Uber is generating money like nobody's business. They got all the information hacked, which is bad, but it's manageable. But they paid a hacker $100,000 for a hack that big is laughable. It's insulting to the hacker. He took that money and laughed after he sold the copies to other people. Probably sent him a video of him smashing the hard drive with a hammer, being like, "Look, I did it. Thank you for money." Like, get out of here. Like, that's so sloppy. It's just so sloppy. What do you guys think? I want to hear your guys' opinions. Hop in the chat room and tell me what you think. Give me a call, 502-791-6409. I am very, very excited to test out the phone systems today. So please, please come in. So the last thing that I would like to talk about tonight is Bitcoin. Bitcoin. It reached a new high today. Let me look at what it's at right this second, because I know that it changes, you know, all the time. So we got, let me pull up Coinbase. Currently, on Coinbase, you can buy one Bitcoin for $8,185.00. 81.85. Can you imagine being one of the people who got into Bitcoin when it was less than 1 penny? Can you imagine? I can't. That's like 80 million%. Some ridiculous shit. So I say that to say, if anybody's interested, I have auto trading Bitcoin apps. I can write you your own custom personalized auto trader app. All you have to do is send me an email, inquiries@jeromeparker.com. I will put it in the description, actually. Bitcoin is going to take over the world. It's just the beginning. Governments soon will not be able to control the flow of money. How it should be is going to go back to the people. I'm really interested to see how Bitcoin affects the African diaspora, because there's a lot of people in Africa starting to use Bitcoin, and I'm starting to see a lot of people like trading. I mean, because Bitcoin is as big as Bitcoin is for like America and Europe, it's even bigger in the emerging markets. Just simply to the fact of how much you can split down a Bitcoin. In the Zimbabwean market, one Bitcoin was at 13,000 today, and typically, whatever the Zimbabwe market goes up to, the U.S. market follows. Is what I've noticed. They were the first one to go up to 7,000, and then shortly went up to 7,000. So we'll see. I mean, I wholeheartedly believe Bitcoin is going to reach the five-digit threshold really soon. So guys, if you want to get into it, I will write you. Well, I mean, I already have the app. I just have to customize it based off what your investor needs are. But even if you're only doing $5-10 a day, this is going to pay off. Bitcoin's going to be the future. I mean, at this price right now in Kentucky, you could buy a house for like 10 to 12 Bitcoin. Like, that's crazy to me. Like, buy a house of Bitcoin. Oh man, who do we have on here? I see we got people online. We don't have anybody in the chat room. I don't have anybody hitting the like. I don't have anybody sharing. What's going on, guys? I told you my 3 topics. There was something else I wanted to show you. I wanted to talk about. It was on my debate bucket, but you know, since we don't really have many people communicating in the chat and whatnot, I'm gonna go ahead and just drag this out a little longer and talk about it. So, have you guys seen that athletic robot that can run and do backflips and all sorts of craziness? They have made this robot, and using AI and kinetic sensors and whatnot, never really been a fan of Uber. Knew what was up with them once the harassment issues started. These instant noodle companies that don't rise naturally are more prone to this stuff, in my opinion. From Hit Parade. You know, when I was living out in the Bay Area, I definitely got that, what they call it, bro culture. I definitely got that bro culture vibe with a lot of these startups. It's a double-edged sword because, you know, I still actively look for investment money, but all of my startups are organically self-sustaining. So it's like I need that. I don't necessarily need, but, you know, in order to go take my stuff global, I really need that investment, that capital rather, to make it. But a lot of these startups I've come and found out, a lot of these startups, man, like they're getting millions of dollars without even having a product yet. It is so annoying. They don't even have a product yet. But yeah, so, you know, when I see these companies that are getting multi-million-dollar seed rounds and then, you know, they're bankrupt like a year later because they had lawsuits with people, you know, spiking people's drinks and stuff at the work. And I know that sounds ridiculous, but I've actually worked at places where there's alcohol at the job. You know, people are hammered while they're coding. Let's see. R. Hall says history is going to look back on this repealing of net neutrality the same way we look at Watergate. That's some deep stuff. You want to call in, R. Hall? You want to talk about it? Call in. 502-791-6409. You too, Hit Parade. Either one of y'all. Go ahead and call in. I need somebody to test this out anyway. But go ahead. The phone number is 502-791-6409. Let me put it in the chat real quick. Yeah. Let's get some conversation going. And if you already haven't done so, share. But in the meantime, while I'm waiting on your guys' call and whatnot, I'm going to go back to this athletic robot. So yeah, these scientists have they created these robots. People trying to call my regular phone. I'm live streaming. They created these robots using AI and kinetic sensors and tactile sensors and whatnot. So this robot can run, it can jump, it can do a backflip, and it's not like clumsy, awkward looking. Like it looks like a person. Like until I realized I was looking at a robot, I thought I was looking at like a person in a robo suit. No, this is a robot, dude. First thing I thought about was RoboCop. They're about to have these things on the street, patrolling us, which that's also a double-edged sword because I think it really depends on who manufactures them and who does the coding, but you know, you definitely could see a lot less brutality or a lot more brutality depending on how the AI is incorporated. But like, for example, what if a robot shoots somebody unarmed and they hit an innocent person? You can't put a robot on trial. I mean, it's not like if it was a human cop, it would go on trial, would do anything anyway. But you can't put a robot on trial. What are you going to do? You're going to take the programmer to court? You're going to take the police chief to court? Or are you just going to, it's just, you know, just going to have the taxpayers just, you know, pay out a settlement? I feel like that's really all you can do because you can't really punish a robot. But yeah, I wholeheartedly believe that we're going to have robots in the military and robot police forces. I mean, they already have the robot security guards. It look like the things from Watch Dogs 2. Maybe you guys have ever played Watch Dogs 2. It looked like that Securitas bot or whatever it's called. Can't remember the name of them. I have to look that up. Talk about it in the next stream. Oh, I mean, it should go without saying, I'm not going to be streaming on Thanksgiving, but you know, I might do a makeup stream on Friday or Saturday. Haven't really decided yet. But yeah, man, they got these robots. They got AI, people hacking into things, stealing everything. I mean, that's another thing too. You got these robot cops. What if a hacker hacks into it, starts remotely controlling it, just starts shooting everybody? When I say we, like corporate America, they don't really tend to care much about security. They're more like get the product out and start getting money. But like, the vast majority of DDoS attacks have happened as a result of IoT devices on your network because people don't secure IoT devices. So they're getting into your network through like your Wi-Fi connected coffee maker and just wreaking havoc. Wreaking havoc. Shit's crazy, man. What else we got? Let's see. Hit Parade has said something. We got R Hall. I don't know who this other third person is watching. Not saying nothing. But what I mean, have you guys noticed anything in the tech news? Anything you want me to talk about before I get off here? I'm gonna give you guys like 5 minutes to give me a reply. If not, then I'm gonna go ahead and end this stream early. But if you guys have anything you want me to talk about, you can either call in. The phone number is 502-791-6409, or you can just put it on IoT. IoT stands for Internet of Things. So, like I said, you have the stuff like the Wi-Fi connected coffee makers. You got your security cameras that are hooked up to the Wi-Fi. Any of those little things, that's called the Internet of Things. You got you're making things connected to the internet, and IoT is short for that, Internet of Things. If you have a drone, a flying drone, and you can connect it to Wi-Fi or connect it over Bluetooth, that's Internet of Things. What else we got? Any more questions? Any of you guys into Bitcoin? What's your if you are, how long have you been investing? Interested to know. Interested to know. I'm over here looking at my analytics. I've been getting a lot of followers lately, especially on Twitter. Appreciate the love, guys. Appreciate the love. If you already haven't, hit like and subscribe. Share this. All that good stuff. But I think I'm gonna go ahead and end it early. Tomorrow I'm going to try to finish my part 2 of the file sharing application. So if you haven't, you can go ahead and check that out. Otherwise, you guys, I would love to get into Bitcoin, but I have no idea where to start. Well, you can hit me up on Twitter. You can hit me up on Facebook and whatnot, and I can get you started personally. So my email, I'm going to put my email right here in the chat. And just send me a message. But I'm going to go ahead and sign off here. You guys have a nice day. And I will talk to you guys later.